Hello, my fellow Extraordinary Americans. I'm Cosmos Samaddar, and this is Extraordinary America. What is Extraordinary America about? You see, American identity is about freedom, the opportunity for a better life, and the pursuit of happiness. However, most Americans are not free when it comes to the financial front. Most Americans are suffering from financial slavery due to loss of jobs, stagnant wages, inflation, and debt of all kinds. Wealth and income inequality runs rampant across America, and the middle class is all but disappeared. So what is Extraordinary America about? Extraordinary America is about the abolition of financial slavery. It is about the financial freedom of the 99%. It is about the nation of immigrants and descendants of immigrants awakening and unleashing the extraordinary within themselves and setting themselves free. The path to financial freedom is through entrepreneurship and investing on the light side. It is about financial education, not only when it comes to money in the monetary systems, but also in regards to how to start a business, investing, especially when it comes to precious metals and real estate. In this podcast, I interview guests, many of whom came from humble beginnings, to see how they did it and how they attained financial freedom in their own lives and how they did business. And it is my hope that you will be inspired and you will want to awaken extraordinary within yourselves and realize the American dream. Once again, welcome to Extraordinary America. For today's guest, we have Joshua Smith. Joshua is the founder of Briggs LLC, which is a privately backed business solutions company. He's an accomplished, award-winning executive sales expert and leader in the wholesale, residential, and commercial lighting industry. Joshua possesses a proven track record of launching strategic initiatives that significantly advance enterprise growth. His expertise lies in leveraging strategic selling methods to establish profitable revenue streams. Joshua's ability to optimize budget allocations, drive costing, save solutions, and prioritize spending has been instrumental in achieving organizational success. His knack for building corporate partnerships and establishing client relations has consistently opened doors to new business opportunities. Notable highlights in Joshua's career include developing new customer relationships with national brands, leading to the mandatory specification status of commercial products of all future products. Managing a national territory, Joshua secured over $4 million in revenue streams for commercial lighting products and controls within an impressive 3-year time frame. He's an extraordinary American, and I'm glad and honored to have him on the show. Joshua, are you there?
Hey, Cosmos.
Hey, Joshua, thank you so much for taking the time to do this podcast with me and be open and willing to share your wisdom with us.
I'm honored to be here, man.
So Joshua, can you tell me and the audience a little bit more about yourself and your background story and how you got started in your industry?
Sure. So most of my career has been business to business sales, starting off in the decorative lighting business where I was a manufacturer's representative for multiple lighting companies. And I would go and meet with mom and pop lighting companies in a particular geography and just sell them stuff and sell them things that were pretty, that designers wanted to buy, and just try to do the best I could there. I cut my teeth there, figuring out what additional things you would need to be a salesperson, right? It wasn't just, knocking on the door, selling somebody something, and then never seeing them again. This was like continuous relationship building, and it's been a blessing to me over time in the different segments of lighting that I've been in, and then finally I'm not even in lighting anymore. I'm doing some fence sales right now too, so selling to wholesalers and contractors and things like that. But it's been a fun journey. Made a lot of mistakes and tried to learn from them as best I can over that time.
I see. One of the things they say is that sales is the lifeblood of any company, and yet so many people are afraid to do sales. Like when they hear about sales, a lot of people they just think of like the snake oil salesman or the used car salesman or something. But that's not the case. You have to know sales in order to make your company successful. Like somebody's got to do it. And but yeah, what do you think are the common, do you feel like there's a common misconceptions regarding the sales industry altogether, in your opinion?
Oh, absolutely. There's two sides of it, right? As far as I can figure, I'm in the South, and I live in Tennessee, and that's always been part of my territory is Tennessee. And there's always a misconception that it's like some sort of good old boys network, in any industry, and it's really not the case. A lot of the people that do the work are not in that little group that they call themselves a good old boy network. And part of the relationship building is more than just asking about someone's family and trying to make a good connection there. There's really not a system to it. You just have to put yourself out there, do the best you can for that company and what they're trying to do, and add value some other way, and then you'll start making relationship strides with people when they see that you're not just trying to sell them the snake oil, you're trying to help them sell the snake oil that they're buying. Whatever it is you might be selling. It's, if you can build that value, if you can tell them how to sell what you're selling, right, it helps them put food on their table.
No, I
I
mean
think
that's pretty true. Like there's like a common theme that a lot of people, like in a lot of business people say, like there's a lot of like salespeople, like they try to convince people of the benefit of the product, but when it comes to actually taking the money, a lot of them tend to hesitate. That's been a common theme in a lot of like companies. But I don't know if you have ever been across such a kind of thing, like where the person is usually afraid of asking to get the sale
mm,
after they've talked about the benefits and all of that.
yeah, that's a good point. I was always told, make your pitch and shut up. Stop talking, because the first one to talk loses. And
Interesting.
yeah, that's what I've always been told. And there is some truth to that. If your sales speech is designed in a way that it leads up to that moment, then yeah, it's going to be, maybe a minute or 2 minutes of silence. You got to kind of let someone get comfortable with the idea of making a purchase too. But that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is building enough value into the conversation that they stop you and say, "Where do I sign?" Right? So they close for you. That's a better way, I think, because then it's more of a win-win that way.
No, I mean, totally. Like, whenever people look at sales, they think of the Wolf of Wall Street, where you got this guy like using this magic script or something like that, and then you just take the script, and then magically you'll get a lot of sales. But I don't know. Do you think there's some truth to the Wolf of Wall Street myth, or is sales much more simpler than that altogether?
Oh, I think it's simpler. A lot of those systems, in my experience, a lot of companies are building off what a friend of mine and I used to say was the gravity of success. It worked yesterday, so it'll work tomorrow. So they're just following a pattern. A sales script is really just a pattern, and they do a numbers game after that. And instead of trying to figure out a way to talk to someone to build value, they're really just kind of running the numbers game on whoever's going to be the first button to click, first person to buy something. It's like 1 out of 10. If they get 1 out of 10, they think it's a successful system. But I think that 1 out of 10, if I only got one answer right on a 10-question quiz, I would fail, right? So I don't think that's a great system. Running the numbers game, it wastes a lot of people's time, and it doesn't bring people up in a way in your company that gives them that tool that they really need, right? You can give someone a script all you want, but the tool they really need is conversing with someone in a way where they can hear somebody, right? They can hear what the customer is saying, because the customer will tell you exactly what they're looking for if you're engaged in that conversation. And then if you have the tool in the back of your mind, and that, I don't mean tool in a bad way, I mean tool in a good way, where you can do the best for your company by explaining something to someone in a way that they see the value, and they don't have their shield up in front of them thinking that you're a car salesman.
Yeah, I mean that's there, right? Like, everybody wants to be like everybody. There's like a saying, Joshua, and it's like one of the greatest paradoxes of life. Like, everybody wants to buy, but nobody wants to be sold to, which is
Mm.
which is the most ironic thing ever. But yet, that's the dilemma that, like, people that are starting companies and they want to be successful in business, they have to have like a very good sales team. But Joshua, what was the biggest lesson in your opinion, like that you had during all your years in the industry that you've been in?
Um, there's two, I guess. Well, there's one really good one that I learned a while back when I first started doing manufacturing representation. One of the gentlemen that was in a different area, he said that you have to sell both ways. You have to sell up, and then you have to sell to your customer. And what he was talking about was every day, whenever you're in because we were all 1099 contractors, we were subcontractors to the manufacturers. So the manufacturer was also our customer, right? So we had to treat them as our customers. So when we had interactions with our manufacturers, we had to sell them on us every time we had a conversation, right? And that was really valuable because it created this way of communicating with the manufacturer, letting them know, hey, I'm here, I'm doing the work, I'm doing what I think is best for the manufacturer in this area. And I just tried to remind them of that every chance I got, and sold up to them saying, look, this is what we got going on, but this is why this is going on. This is what I'm doing to do this. This is, I'm meeting with, 10 major, owners a week, or whatever the metrics happen to be, but then I'm also selling them on me as I'm talking to them.
Yeah. So Joshua, like whenever people think of sales, they think about B2C, like business to consumer, but you have had a lot of experience in B2B. So could you, like, what do you think are the differences, in your opinion, between a B2B type selling versus a B2C type selling?
Yeah, absolutely. Business to business. The interesting thing about it, especially if you're calling on the owner directly, and they might be doing, they might be bringing, $500,000 home a year or something like that, and their payroll is probably three times that, and they have a lot of different things on their plate than just talking to you about buying some lighting, right? Buying some stock. Other things are important to them. What I found was if I could make it, if I could explain why, hey, for one example, before I would go talk to the owner and that owned a lighting showroom, I would make sure to walk through, check out the styles that they had, and then see if there's any gaps in their offering to their customers. And I would pick out those things in my line that would fill those gaps for them, right? So if they had a contemporary area, they only had like four pieces, and they had a wall sconce and a 5 light chandelier, and that's it, I would say, well, here's some options that you could put in there, and it could help you increase your contemporary, business, because I know a lot of new apartments are going in, or whatever the circumstance might have been. But I tried to bring them not just the sales page that I got from the manufacturer. I would try and say, hey, this is what I think would be in the best interest of your company, and that would save them a lot of time, because they don't have time to go out there on the floor and double check that they have everything in stock, and just more of a service scenario when you're talking to, especially a business owner, more of a service. However, you can shape the conversation that you have with them, because their time is limited. If you can optimize their time with you and be more of a value uh, a value presence for them, a reason for them to actually take your appointment and have you come in there, bring numbers, hey, this is your sales last year with us, this compared to year to date now, that kind of stuff, more consulting type things. Because again, it's a win-win. So if someone's selling your product on their showroom floor, you want to show them how they can sell it to their customers, do trainings for their sales staff. I did a lot of training for sales staff. I did free training for architects and engineers. I would do, continuing education classes for them. I would get certified on that stuff with the manufacturers, just so I could, hey, here's my offer to you. I'm going to come in and do a lunch and learn, and then you get some continuing education credits. And then after that's done, give me 15 minutes to talk about why you should specify our products. So, just more value add. The more you can add to it, the better.
Joshua, so so you said that you train like sales staff, right? So one of the questions I wanted to ask for the sake of the audience, because a lot of people in the audience would have a fear of calling somebody like in a cold call, and then like facing the fear of rejection. Because with sales, the fear of rejection is a major thing for a lot of people. That's why they don't do the sales part. Like they'll leave it. They'll rather do anything else in the company than this one. So what is your way of dealing with the fear of rejection, and how did you overcome it in your life?
Yeah, that's a great question. It took me a while to come up with a system that gave me the confidence to go make good sales calls. Uh, there's a couple different ways I would do it, depending on what the promo was or whatever the manufacturers were trying to do at the time. You know, one of the techniques is I would go to my worst customer, the person I did not like talking to at all because they were just so mean to me, and for no reason. So that was one tactic. I would go to somebody that I knew I would fail with, and I would just give it my best shot because there was nothing to lose, right? And when I got the no, it didn't hurt. You know, that first no, if I can make it not hurt, then the next one's going to be fine, right? And then the other tactic was to go to my best customer, right? The person that I just love talking to, I could talk to for hours, and they would just let me say whatever I needed to say. And they may buy the promo and they may not, but they're still going to do business with me in one way or the other. You know, so there was two different tactics. You're just trying to get that first no, and get it out of the way. You know.
So man, a lot of people that's what they dread the most, right? Like where the person's mean to you on the other end and just like tells you
Yeah.
names and all that shit, and you're just like, oh wow, oh damn, I don't want to do this ever again. So like it's kind of takes a lot of like you got to have like a tough mental mindset. Like let's say you're cold calling and you're doing like let's say 20 calls or 30 calls a day, it gets kind of like draining after some time, you know?
Yeah, the cold calls thing is something I don't like either. I don't like putting people through that because I don't like cold calls. I don't, and I still I consider the stuff I get on LinkedIn sometimes to be a cold call because, you know, some people are running these AI bots on there that crawl your profile, and you know, you can tell it's crawling your profile because it says something, you know, either really generic or it's too specific, but it doesn't actually make sense, you know?
Yeah.
So I consider that a cold call. It's like, well, you didn't really actually look at my profile. You don't know what I'm doing, you know, that kind of thing. You know, I always felt like if you're going to call somebody, at least look at their website, you know, at least figure out who the owner is, have a name, you know, have somebody to speak to specifically and have at least a moderately decent reason to talk to them other than just selling whatever you're selling, you know.
So, Joshua, in your perspective, like throughout your career, what was the biggest challenge you had with regards to like sales, and how did you go about overcoming it?
Biggest challenge is just earning trust, and with most people, it just takes time. Even if they won't see you, what you can do, consistency builds trust. So even if you have that bad customer that you think is a bad customer, there really isn't. There's no bad customers. There's just customers that don't understand you or you don't understand the customer. So I say bad customer lightheartedly, right? But one thing that would work for me over time is I would either come by and see them the same time every month, right? Even if I knew they were just going to say, no, I don't have time for you, I would do it around the same time every month. And that would establish a sort of reliance, even without them even understanding that's what I'm trying to do. It's like, I'm just trying to say, hey, look, I'm here and I will be here for you every month, whether you use me or not, or utilize that or not. Maybe some point you will, because you'll notice that you never see that other guy. You know, you never see that other rep. They never come by, or it feels like they never come by because I'm always there. You know, just one thing, consistency, or a phone call. You know, same phone call every month. You know, or make if you do happen to get somebody on the phone that you've been trying to get on the phone, um, make note of what time of day it is and what day it is, and then make that same call the next month, even if they reject you, because typically they're going to be available.
I would say that in when it comes to business, like consistency is one of the keys of success, right? Like you, whatever it is, you have to be in front of like your audience, at least like in a like when you're doing like marketing on like let's say social media, especially like you have to be consistent in what you're doing
Yeah.
over a period of time, and so with sales as well, I suppose, you know. But Joshua, like one of the things I wanted to know about you, since you're so driven and determined, and then you have had success in your industry is what was the motivational factor that made you go to like made you push beyond anything to like succeed in whatever you're doing, you know, because most people they like they don't have the will and the drive, but you had it. So what is the why behind what you do?
Sure. Yeah, initially, I think it was, well, initially it was because I wanted a family and I wanted to be able to support my family. That was the reason I got into sales in the first place because you know, I was, I was okay at it, and then over time I've gotten a little better, but it was really, my mission was just to provide for my family, which it has done that. But really now it's changed. I I want to be more of a, helper. Like if I can help people figure out how to do sales or how to have customer relationships that bring value, I feel like that's going to be better uh, over time. I can sell what I need to sell, but if I can help people sell and make a living for themselves, that's gonna really do good for the world. The other thing is I'm trying to get to a point where I can start other projects. I want to start projects that deal with uh, energy creation. I want people to be able to have their own energy generators and electrical generators that don't run off of fuel, that aren't necessarily traditional solar technology. I want to get to that point where I can innovate to where people can survive on wherever they want to, whether it's you know. Food, water, housing, uh, conditioning, air conditioning, energy. I want to get into those basic needs that everyone needs, and make it to where everyone can be off grid. Is kind of where my main focus is as far as mission goes. But in that roadmap, people are going to have to be able to buy these technologies. So they need to learn how to sell stuff so they can buy stuff and be able to provide for their families. So if I can put that all together, then I think I have a different end game in mind, than I did when I started out.
So that is an amazing mission you have, Joshua. And Joshua, like, why manufacturing and lighting of all the industries? Like, you could have picked any industry, like where you could have used your sales thing, but like, why particularly this particular industry?
It was a matter of opportunity. I was in the right place, the right time. My stepdad, his name is Steve Falk. He secretly, sneakily trained me to be a salesperson. Right. And he started off asking me to help him, just put lights up. And that's what it was. I was just going to help him put lights up for his customers, and he'd pay me. And then eventually I would go do it without him. The showrooms would hire me to come and put lights up, during off hours, while I was going through college. And then when I finished college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I just kind of decided one day I'd give the lighting manufacturer's rep a try, and it just worked, man. It just worked out really well. My stepdad, I owe him a lot of gratitude for, at least getting me out of my shell at that point and showing me how to interact with people on a professional level.
I see. So Joshua, if you had to like advise somebody that's new to your industry and wants to do sales just like you did, and they don't know where to start or how to go about it, how would you advise such a person?
Education, get the knowledge about the product, be a subject matter expert for whatever the product is, and be that subject matter person for your customer. So it's not just about making the sale, it's about, you know, after the sale and before their sale to their customer. Be that person that they go to. You want to be the first phone call on their list is basically what you need to be able to get to. And you're going to do that by being a subject matter expert. and also teach them how to build value in the product to their customers.
No, that's pretty true. You have to do those things. Like education is actually the motto of Extraordinary America, ironically, because it's only through education that you actually get like freedom and all of that stuff. You know, like financial freedom, because you gotta, because for instance, like sales, you have to know how to do sales, and then you get the money, and then like that's how it works.
Yeah, it's funny. Something that's always, whatever company that I've sold for, whether it be, enterprise, or enterprise level, or, business to business level, national account level, anything like that, there's always people in the company that believe that they're not in sales. They're like, I'm not in sales, you're in sales. Well, do you talk to the customer? Well, yeah, every once in a while. You're in sales. If you talk to the customer, you're in sales, because you always have to be reinforcing whatever my narrative is. You need to be reinforcing whatever I'm saying, and being in alignment with your sales team. So if you talk to the customer at all, you're in sales. You can be an engineer, but if you talk to the customer, you're a salesman at that point, because you're representing the company, you know.
No, I mean that's true, you know. And so, Joshua, as a continuation of this, but like I'm talking about like the American identity, right? Then its application to education. Like America has always been about freedom, but financially, most people are just going paycheck to paycheck, and it feels like the universities and colleges of our country, they do not actually teach you the right education when it comes to like how to actually start a business, or basically how to do sales. What is your perspective on how the education system should be taken into account when it comes to attaining freedom on the financial front?
Yeah, it's a we could probably talk about 2 or 3 more hours on that. Um,
I mean, we only have like 20 or 30 more minutes, but yeah, it is an important thing, right? Because it is our identity. We as Americans are meant to be free, but our education system, at least that's what I think, and a bunch of other things, like it's not up to par. Like it teaches us how to be an employee, but to be truly free, you got to either be an investor, you got to have your business, or you got to be really good at sales. And
yeah, yeah, they don't. Well, I've heard different theories about where the United States education system comes from. I've heard things like we're based off of the Persian model, where they, at least when I was growing up, they were trying to instill, nationalism inside the school, a lot of respect for your country, things like that. And they would teach a lot of history, and everything was favorable for the country that you're in, and I could see part of that. But then, they don't teach you, they didn't teach us how to balance the checkbook. I was, they didn't teach us how to make a family budget. They didn't teach us how to manage money. They didn't teach us how to invest money. They didn't even allude to anything like that. Right. And, college was the same. Well, college can be the same way, depending on what major you're in. I was an art major. There was no requirement for me to get any kind of business knowledge at all. I did end up taking a lot of entrepreneurial classes and business management classes, but still there was no, I didn't have to. So I imagine there's a lot of people out there that have really nice degrees that still didn't get some of those fundamental things that you need to just exist in the wild, right?
pretty much.
You know, but yeah, and the investing part still eludes me for the most part. I mean, there's a lot of products out there now that weren't available 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. All this micro investing that's available to people, the crypto, all of that stuff. It's scary to think about, somebody that maybe shouldn't be investing, that is investing in things and losing. It's more gambling, on some of that stuff. I feel like if you don't know the ins and outs of it and the repercussions. I was excited to get access to trading options, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Mhm.
And I didn't have time to sit and figure it all out. But I could imagine that it seems counterproductive or maybe it's too watered down, like the education system. Maybe they're too afraid to delve into certain subjects. I don't know what it is, but yeah, we don't seem to be giving people that just the essentials of how to structure your future. You know, like I said, just managing finances just on day to day, not living paycheck, how to not live paycheck to paycheck. It's just it's unfortunate, and I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, and exposing, think hopefully different things that we can do. Um, I the only thing I can think of that we should do in the meantime before we can hopefully get each state to change their curriculum is to, maybe provides, maybe build businesses around, after school tutoring. There are some things out there now, but, maybe that could be something that, you know, could be done. Maybe more people could do, invest in businesses like that, because the kids growing up or the kids we're going to rely on, this is, we're handing them a legacy to be free or a legacy to fall into something else.
Joshua, I mean, I couldn't agree like more, because if you think about it, traditional education, like for instance, you had an art major, right? But ultimately, did you use the art degree towards what you ultimately did? Like, will it help you generate revenue, which will allow you to, like, like a livelihood? Like, is it going to help pay the bills and all that stuff? Because like right now with inflation and stagnant wages and everything, like like the world around us is changing at a very rapid pace. Like you have automation, you even have AI. I don't even know how the chat GBT works even up to now. Like, it's been a year or two. Like the things are just rapidly changing. And I feel like our systems are not there. Like, for instance, sales, like they should be teaching a basic sales course on how to actually sell something, because you could utilize that in any industry. Like no matter where you go, like the basic essence, if you wanted to start a company, you make a product or whatever, you have to know how to sell it. And so, at least in my opinion and other people's opinions, like that should have been the priority on a mass level, at least on the American landscape.
I agree. I agree. I think that, I mean, school didn't work for me. I was not productive during the times that they wanted me to be there. I didn't become productive until after I ate. They wouldn't let you eat during class. And I was a skinny kid, man. I needed food every 30 minutes or I was going to pass out. Um, just, school felt more like prison to me. And all I wanted to do was break out, you know. And so I don't think kids should, if they do still feel that way, I don't want them to feel that way. I think it's unfortunate. I think, in my personal opinion, school should change a little bit, at least in the essence of helping kids figure out what their gifts are and what their specialities. You know, what are they uniquely qualified to do? What is their brain uniquely qualified to do, and help them nurture that and help them figure out even what that is. Even if they could just help someone figure out, hey, this is what it seems to be that you're good at, right? And these are the different things that you can do with that set of skills, right? And then if you want to continue to hone those skills in, maybe you should think about this, this, and this. And then just, if you could just get that out of the 12 years you're in school, I mean, that would get somebody on the right start. They might not even need college, they might just choose a trade school instead, which is extremely valuable to any kind of industrial society. We need people that know how to weld. We need people that enjoy welding, not just know how to do it, but enjoy it and innovate. I mean, when's the last time anyone's innovated anything in trades that we know of? I've not heard of anything. I mean, I just don't think, I think the people that we have in those trades are too busy doing the trade rather than trying to innovate. So it's really a stagnant system if we don't have people continuously focusing on how to make things, better, even for their trade.
No, I mean that's there, right? We're just living in a rapidly changing world, and I do agree. We have to have innovation for it. Um, Joshua, what is something that you wish, like, let's say you could time travel back in time and you could go back in time and talk to your 15-year-old self, and with all the wisdom and knowledge that that you have now, like through all the life that you went through, like what did you tell him?
Um, oof. I'll probably tell them a lot of things, but the main thing I think I would say is go try to find people that have done what you want to do and just talk to them, figure out how they did it, absorb as much information as you can from them, pick out what works. Don't necessarily follow their pattern, because everyone's pattern is going to be different, but at least, try to get at the essence of who they are and what drives them, and figure that out for myself, and follow that rather than following uh, a necessary need, right? Of just getting from one paycheck to the next, or a necessary need of, hey, I need to buy a car, so I need to get a job. Well, that's all well and good, but find the people that did what you want to do and glean the best from them that you can and apply it to your own strategy.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, understanding what people have done, like learning from them. In my own opinion, like if you learn from other people's mistakes, like you just basically accelerate your own wisdom altogether, because you don't have to only learn from like your own failures or like your own life struggles. You can like look at other people, and even like if in my case, like if I read like books and everything, and I read what the people's success and failures are, like including this podcast. Like I've been doing this and I've been interviewing different people. I'm just like learning different things from them, and it just helps absorb everything, and it just accelerates everything.
Yeah, man. That's I mean, it's good to be able to talk to people. Thank goodness for Zoom. Thank goodness if something good did come out of the whole pandemic thing, is the innovations that were done with technology of being able to talk to people over the web like this, and people's willingness to do so now, because most people know a lot of people in their own area, but being able to converse like this over video, having someone's face in front of you, not hiding behind some random tweet, mean tweets or anything like that, really having, good conversations with people and figuring out how to help each other. I mean, if nothing else good came out of that whole thing, at least this is here now.
Joshua, we're living in one of the craziest times of human history. Like Zoom was not like the concept of internet and Zoom. If you told somebody 200 years ago that this was going to happen, they would think you're like a witch or a wizard. They'll burn you on the stake. You'd basically be, they'd take you to the Salem witch trials. And then like now it's just like a normal kind of thing. It's just crazy. Like, but we just take it for normal. We're just like, oh, okay, it's just a normal thing. But no, this has not happened in human history. So yeah. So Joshua, is there like any projects that you're working on right now that you would want the audience to get a glimpse into?
Um, yeah, there's a handful of things that, if anybody wants to check out my art, or if they want to follow my Substack or subscribe to my Substack, they can at dynamicillusions.com. Dynamicillusions.com. I've had that site since I was a teenager, and it's just got a little bit about me, and there's art on there and some random merchandise that I've developed over the years. It's just a fun personal site. But then I've also got links to my Substack and my LinkedIn. The project that I am working on, there's two of them. One of them is ovations.com, and that's ovations with a Z. Ovations.com is uh, a commerce outlet for people that do talks. Anyone that that has a message to send, or some sort of value-based content that they already are doing speaking engagements on, or if they want to become someone that can do speaking engagements. The ovations.com is designed to help event planners book quality, value added content speakers for their trade shows, or sales meetings, or things like that. So ovations.com is kind of a little pet project of mine. I'm on there, which is fine. If anybody wants to book me, they can, but it's really just about attracting more attention to that project, because I think it's going to help a lot of people, especially in this new age where, people are doing, companies are doing virtual events all the time, even with their just, their own sales team. This can add, if I was a sales manager for a company, I would peruse it, and at least once a month, I would have a different expert on there, telling them, this is how they got to where they are, or here's some, here's some tools that you can use, in your sales process. So that's one. And then the other one is a tech startup called WeLoft. And if anyone subscribes to my Substack, they can hear about it as it develops. But what we're doing is we're going to be creating a user interface for artists and visual artists and musicians, to where they can secure their digital assets in a different way. We're using a protocol called Unbreakable Exchange Protocol, and it is a Department of Defense level type cryptography that's going to be able to set administration rights to whatever files you put in there. So an artist, for example, could do a really high-end detailed scan of their artwork and put it into this file and give print manufacturers access to it with certain contract agreements inherent in the file. And then if anyone tries to breach their contract, they can set the file to become inaccessible, or to give an alert, or or to self-destruct, right? So it's agnostic as to where it can exist on the web or on someone's device, because it has its own administration policy attached to it. So we want to give that to, we want to allow musicians and artists to be able to control their digital assets better than they can today with copy and paste on the internet. I mean, even just doing a screenshot, someone can steal, something, they can steal an artwork, or at least a part of it, and devalue it in that way. But this technology is going to help people retain more ownership, and, give them more income, hopefully, in the assets that they can provide.
Joshua, that is amazing. So how can our audience, like one thing, just to confirm, like how can they connect with you and get to know more about you and like what all the work that you're doing?
Sure. The best way is my art site, my Substack is on there, and then LinkedIn. Of course, I'm pretty much on LinkedIn every day, at least an hour a day, just connecting with different people and posting articles and things like that. So LinkedIn is linkedin.com/mech customs, so MECH customs, mech customs, and then dynamicillusions.com has my Substack link to it.
That is awesome, Joshua. Joshua, I'm really glad that you took the time to do this podcast and basically share your wisdom about sales, because that is such an important concept that a lot of people need to know, and there's like a lot of misconceptions about it. And I'm thankful that you came and then shared your wisdom about it. And I would want you to come back at a later time on this show.
Hey, anytime for you, Cosmos, man. Anytime for you, man. Thank you for having me, and I'm always open to talk.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it. And I want to conclude this episode by letting my fellow extraordinary Americans know that, hey, look, there's an extraordinary within each and every one of us. It's our duty to awaken it and unleash it. Until next time, bye for now. Hey, everyone. Thank you for watching Extraordinary America. If you like what you see, please do subscribe to our podcast and share it with others. Remember that the best investment that you can make in your lifetime is in your own financial education, for it is knowledge that truly sets us free. Also, remember that inflation is diluting your purchasing power, which in turn increases financial bondage. The practical thing to do is to protect the loss of your purchasing power and invest in precious metals or the right cryptocurrencies. Lastly, never forget that you are an extraordinary American. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.